Yeah. Yeah.
Good evening, RFHL. We are back. We are back, baby. I got the Bobs here, couple Bobs, and I got another Bob coming later. I got Roberts and Robs and Bobs, and they're all joining me tonight. But hey, this is the spring 2026 RFHL season. This is your first official podcast, week one preview podcast. I'm your host tonight, 2.0, but I've also got Rob Maston here, and now joining the cycle, the podcast host rotation, we've got the Bob joining the group. Rob, how you doing tonight?
Doing well. I said if we have anybody else that can do a podcast, your name must be Bob, Rob, or Robert. And Bob is actually the OG here, so I'm glad that he came back for this. He's been back at hockey for, I think you've taken a few seasons off, Bob, like here and there. It's been, but like you're always there, and you're the OG of this RFHL media. I feel like since I started at least, so it's great to have you in the rotation.
Yeah, way back in the day, if you didn't know, the Bob was kind of originally started the Circle of Jerks podcast for, well, just the podcast back then, but started that podcast and had that going weekly and really was I think the motor behind the reason we have stats and all sorts of different stuff.
And the write-ups, his write-ups were really good. I remember back in the day, I used to be a big Bob Matthews sports column guy. I liked how I'm like the attention deficit disorder. So you would have like one thing, and it was like, oh, I can read this. It's not just all like, so he's got a good writing style too. So
the Bob, now that we've introduced you humbly, like you're coming in for a guest lecture here, why don't you take it away for yourself here a little bit? Welcome to the crew.
Oh, thank you. No, I first of all, you got a meeting with the Bobs tonight. Got to give the Office Space reference.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, but I gotta give credit where credit's due. The stats were kept long before. Well, I shouldn't say long before. I was season 3, but for at least a season before, if not 2 seasons before I started. And Dan Hook was the original write-up guy. So I don't know I don't think either of you played when he was doing write-ups, but I kind of stole it from him because I thought he did a great job, and he had other stuff going on, so I started doing write-ups, and then the original podcast of the COJ, the original COJ was really a group effort. Pete R did a ton of work on that. We were always using Kurt's studio. Jeremy was always on board. Chatterton. So it was Galooly, but it was a great time. So I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back.
Yeah, definitely.
And not just to the podcast circle, but I think this is your like second or third season back after, I think Rob was talking about how you took a few seasons off, and I know that everybody was excited to see you signed back up for that first season back, and now you're sticking around and as usual with RFHLers, and I finally feel like I can say this because I feel like I'm getting to be one of the elder statesmen in the league at this point. Once you're in. Even if you take some seasons off, you're still tied to it. We've got guys who still watch now that we're on YouTube who haven't played in a couple seasons. We've got guys who still come in person to watch the games, even when they're taking a season off. So, I know you were always kind of lurking around and waiting to strike and come back, and here you are. So, but we're glad to have you as part of the POJcast hosting circle. We have to come up with some. It can't be obviously can't be Circle of Jerks, but we got to come up with something. At this point, we got to figure out some sort of name. We're just the Podgers or something. I don't know, but if you got any good ideas, hey, put it in the YouTube comments and give us some ideas of what you can call your hosting crew. We are missing one tonight. The other Rob the mayor, who is usually last season, if you recall, I caught him napping after he took an early Cancun vacation out of the playoffs from the last spring season. And if you haven't seen the emoji that we've got for him, we got the Rob Anders emoji toasting a drink there in the Discord. But he should be joining us soon, and I know he said to get started without him. So I think without further ado, let's have a quick chat about. I know we had the draft show. I hope that everybody who's new to the league got a chance to check that out, even if they did it on a rewatch. I did see some awesome pictures from Kurt. Thank you, as always, Cannonball, for sharing those pictures in the RFHL photos channel on the Discord. I saw some awesome pictures of a whole bunch of people watching the draft from in the hallway at the school after the rookie game. And I thought that was one of the coolest things because it was really that kind of moment where it just sank in that people really look forward to these podcasts. They really look forward to the recap write-ups. They love the draft show. They love the broadcast and the play-by-play. And it just all comes together, and those photos really kind of sold me on that. I don't know if you guys saw those or feel.
Yeah, Kurt was like, "Should I come tonight?" And we were like, "Yeah, of course, you got to be there." And so he took a lot of good pictures. I think he was planning on reffing the rookie game, and then he's like, "You know what? I'm going to do pictures." So Kurt, as always, does a fantastic job. It's like he does it for a living or something.
I know he has some good paintings.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
I saw the pictures also, and I have to admit, I was one of those people you were talking about too. That was like, couldn't wait for the draft. I was in Toronto at a concert, and I in the middle of the concert, I kept kind of sneaking looks at my phone, like, and then just like see it, and there wasn't a lot of chatter like on Discord or anything, and so like I was like, and I couldn't watch the live stream, and so finally D'Angelo posted something in another chat that I'm in saying that he and I run the same team, and after my initial disappointment wore off, I was like, okay, cool, at least I know somebody on my team, so.
Yeah, I was watching it from Florida. I was going to tell you 2.0. I forgot to tell you that. I was watching it from Florida, and I was on the Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster. I was in lines. I was like, I was in lines for the whole week. So that was the best time I had in line. It was like, RFHL draft. Yes.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, I know there were a couple people who were watching from all sorts of places during, I think, the February break and taking some vacation time and love to see it. And I thought I'm always humbled to be able to do those when I can and host these when I can, or even just guest one of these when somebody else needs a fill in a last minute help for a podcast. So, absolutely. Yeah, but I thought, if we're diving into the draft chat here, and I've got some of the teams in front of me. I'll read off a couple of them. We've got Kyle Antilla captaining the Napster Marauders. He drafted Steve Leduc, Tom Venero, Kyle himself in the third round, then Sidor, Glenn Fridman, Brandon Sisson, and rookie AJ O'Connor. Then we got Rob Anders with Goals R Us. He's got Brad Haynes, Frank Golajush, Al Manza in the third round. I think it's Manza. I'm not sure. Rookie Al. Then we got Shane, the Alicorn Risinger, Rob Anders. My daughter reminded me the other day again. She's like, a unicorn with wings is an alicorn. She made sure to tell me. So
yeah. We know one. We know one. You should say, I know one.
Yeah, I do. So then we got Rob Anders drafting himself as the captain of the fifth round. Paul Fridman making his goalie debut and punching his goalie union membership card this season. And then Cody Sapp in round 7. Dan Thiesing in the Michael Scott Hockey Company drafted Furlano, Sean Petrie, Jake Shelton, Dave King, John Chatterton, himself in the 6th round, and then Kenton as his goalie in the 7th. Then we got Fish and Chips in the Blockbusters. Jake Schmally, Steve Kazmark, Newberry, himself in the 4th round, Fish in the 4th round, rookie Matt Rockefeller, and then rookie Adam Dalton. The only team with 2 rookies here. Maybe he was taking notes last season when I drafted Fish into the all-rookie squad here.
There you go.
And then Matt Haruski in the 7th round, which, by the way, that's bonkers to me.
Yeah.
Then we got Bill Smith. I'm halfway through here. Pontiac Firebirds. He drafted John Redditt, Matt McCarchuck, Bill Smith himself in the 3rd round, Brian D'Angelo, Brian McDonald, a rookie, then K-Flow and the Bob here. We got John Huron and the Bugaboo Creek Freaks. Drafted me in the 1st round, then Brett, Jesse Trito himself in the 4th, Bob Haynes, John Blotzer, and Ellen in the 7th. We got John Foss with the dump and Chase Pitkin. Might be my favorite team name. It's so hard for me not to love that one. So John Foss drafted himself in the 1st round. Then Shane Ryan, Andrew Keller, Mike Prizzy, a rookie goaltender for the league. Justin, not even going to try to say your last name, buddy. Sorry about that. We'll give it a go after week 2. Mike Curry and Dave Foss in the 7th. And then last but not least, we got Sweet Meat, Commissioner Sweet Meat with the Pan Amherst, drafting himself in the 1st round. Mark Ziegler in net, Steve Lasagna, George Kuhn, Brendan Sillick, Kurt Brownell, and then Rob Maston here. So, guys, what are your thoughts on the draft? Pick whatever you want to say. Thumbs down already from the Bob.
Well,
now we're playing them week 1, so I need to start the trash talk early.
There you go.
No, you already said it. The biggest surprise to me is how does Westgate Matt go in the 7th round? That's criminal. That's criminal that that team got him in the 7th. I know 7th round talent. I am 7th round talent.
Same.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I was talking to Andrew Keller today about his team, and we were surprised. I was surprised about Paul Fridman as a goalie going so late. I thought he had a dynamic winter season. So I was wondering how he did in the rookie game. Did Paul just stop playing hockey so I was surprised that he went as low as the 5th round. I had in my draft mocks, I had him going as high as the 2nd with the 2nd round goalie. So that didn't happen, but that was my biggest surprise from what I saw.
Well, yeah, you talk about the goalies. You got 4 goalies, I think it was, drafted in the 2nd round, and then 3 goalies drafted in the bottom 2 rounds.
Yep.
That's a wide gap between. Yep. At least the perception from the captains, where you've got your top tier goalies, and then you got almost everybody else.
Yep. I mean, if you've seen Paul block shots on the floor, well, now he's a goalie. He's going to get more block shots. Should we count that towards his block shots total? We'll talk about that.
I will say at least he's not going to win the shot block award this season.
Well,
someone else is going to win it.
Yeah, John Horan with you on your team. You guys have a lot of shot blocks on that team right there.
It's not too long ago that I lost that award. The first year we gave it out, I lost to Paul Fridman by 6 blocks, but I missed a game and he didn't. And there's a lot of wonder, if I played that game, it could have come right down to the wire. So
we got cereal in there. Is that cereal or is it ice cream?
I'm eating some Chex.
That's a callback.
Chex, official sponsor of the RFHL.
That's a nice callback to Sweet and Pete R used to do that back in the day when it was I think it was at Pete R's apartment or Sweet's apartment back in the day. And
there was one year we did I went over to Sweets to record a video, and it was back when we used to do the quick little video recaps and game stars and stuff. And we had 6 boxes of Chex.
What was a Wegman special, huh?
Yeah. So I gotta agree. When it comes to surprises, Matt, round 7, to me, I just.
Yeah,
it was one of those things where I feel every draft has one player that the captains just kind of gloss over when they're looking at the roster, and then they miss it, and then all of a sudden someone's like, "Oh my God, I'm going to get a steal here." So I think he was a pretty crazy one. I also agree with you, Maston. I mocked the 2nd round. I thought there was going to be at least one of Mike Prizzy or Paul Fridman to also go in the 2nd round. Right. Just because if you didn't catch Prizzy in the Winter Classic, but I know a good chunk of people did, including a handful of captains. He played great. Yeah. I'm excited to see how Prizzy joins this league and comes in. And I know that he was talking about how he was excited to see how the puck feels and everything. So I think he's going to be a great pick for Foss. A little bit late because I thought he was going to go sooner to a couple of those other teams. So.
Yeah, I had him in the 2nd round myself. So, and then another pick that I was really surprised. Well, I wasn't surprised, but with your team and the firepower you had last year with rookies, I really feel like Brendan Sillick got overlooked. And if you saw him during the Winter Classic, I think he was MVP of the championship game with like some of the plays he made, blocking shots, and then he scored a couple, backbreaker goals. So I really thought Brendan was rubbing it in.
Sorry, you were making me thirsty. So,
yeah. So I thought Brendan, in a year chock full of rookies, that's another thing we'll talk about later with this year's class of rookies. But yeah, what a year to be a rookie. He's got 3 top goal scorers on your team, and it was tough.
Yeah, I look at the rosters, and I'm glad you kind of mentioned already. Like I think a couple of you have said like, oh, team looks tough or team looks pretty solid. I look at the rosters this go around, and it's always a little bit tough with a good chunk of rookies. This is a second year in a row we've had 4+ rookies.
Yep.
I think last year he had 6. This year we've got 6. That's crazy. But I look at the rosters, and without knowing exactly how those rookies look, because this time I wasn't a captain watching that game, it's hard for me to make a really solid assessment. But if I eliminate the rookies and kind of just assume they're all pretty close to one another, this is one of the more balanced drafts I've seen in several seasons.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It's balanced, but I think I do see a couple of front runners.
Okay.
I didn't look at the agenda too. I'm sorry. Am I getting ahead of myself?
No, you're fine, because you know what? That's the best part about these is there are no rules. It's just like whose line is it anyways? The points don't matter. So
That's right.
Well, I will say I'll make my bold prediction right now. In addition to having the best team name, I think Foes has the best team.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of firepower on that team.
Shane Ryan. Oh,
yeah,
second round.
Shane and John together with Keller as a third, and Keller really had a breakout season last year. If you guys are saying, if what you're saying is true about the rookie goaltender, dumping Chase Pitkin is they're scary to me. And the other scary team to me is Goals Are Us. I think Rob had a fantastic draft. Frankie with the second to last pick in the second round. I think he might have been a reach last season as a first round pick, but he's not 15th. Right. I think Rob really benefited from that goalie run, leaving Frankie there at the bottom of the second. He's not a bottom of the second pick. And then, like you said, if Paul is better than 6th round talent, which it sounds like he is, that's another scary team to me. So that's my preseason prediction championship game.
Well, now you are getting ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
I like it. And you know what? You're not wrong. I agree. There were a couple teams that when I was looking at it, I was kind of trying to talk myself into weaknesses that they might have. And only because on paper I was like, well, I don't like looking at that as much as some others. I agree with John Foss and his squad. I think him getting Prizzy late was really a good move for him, because I was watching everything happen and I just thought to myself, well, if Dan or Kyle drafts a goalie all of a sudden, it's going to mean that Foss is going to be, looking at just loading up on his floor. And then he ended up loading up on his floor anyways and stealing a goalie. And I think those are the kinds of picks that do end up defining, you never really have a clear view after the draft is done. You can speculate, you can feel things out, you can look at the paper, but there's always 1 or 2 picks that when you look back, you're like, that's why that team won. I say very humbly, I feel like for my team last season, that was probably Chris Galante. I think I know a lot of people agree with that. I at the rookie game, said, oh, he's pretty good. I think he could be a second. There's no way I'll get him. And then he just kind of was still there. And so I picked him. And I think a lot of people might say now that you look back that was maybe one of those turning stone picks that defined a team that made it. So if I had to make that same assessment for Fosa's squad, I say probably getting Prizzy where he did is going to be big.
Yeah.
I could say very similarly for Anders, getting Fridman in the 6th is that pick.
Did he win the 6th? Was it the 6th round he went?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, I thought he went in the 5th, and I thought that was crazy. Wow, he didn't know.
Three goalies in the 6th and 7th.
Wow,
Yeah,
I didn't know he went in the 6th. That's even crazier.
So he went second to last pick in the 6th. If we're not counting the 7th round because it's randomized, Brandon Sisson then immediately went in the Mr. Irrelevant kind of, so to speak, pick for the RFHL. But then in the 7th round, randomized, obviously Thiesing, having not taken a goalie yet, automatically got assigned Kenton, and then everybody else got drawn from there. So there's certainly a lot of parity on paper. I see teams that when they don't have, I see, for example, I see a couple teams with a top goalie who still end up having a really good floor team as well. I mean, Rob, your team, Maston, your team, I'm looking at it, and there's just a lot of like endless motors on that team. There's not just speed, but guys who also like don't really seem to wear down, you know.
Right. Period speed. Yeah. No, it's just
like a George Kuhn and Brendan again. Kurt never stops. So I really like that fact. And then you got Mark back there who can really, like, from my experience in playing against them, can really just wear down teams. Like, oh my God, how did he make that's it? Like fresh off the Olympics, we had one of the best goalie performances of all time. And that's kind of how I equate playing against Mark sometimes. Like, my God, that should have been a goal. That would have been a goal any other time. And I think he's got that. So, but yeah, I do agree with John Fose's team. I think we've dealt with this in the past where we had like a Zach Davis drafting and like, where are we going to put him? Oh, he's going to be drafted first round, but he's going to take the last 2 picks. And John did that. So definitely worked out for him. I mean, getting Shane Ryan, who has been a top 4 pick before in the early 2nd round, was a godsend for him. At that point, I was like, okay, so I don't think the goalie's going to come back around to him. So they're going to need Shane. And so, yeah, worked out.
And Bob, you said something a little bit earlier that I just remembered. I really wanted to kind of point out that always seems to happen when there's a goalie run. You end up seeing a team where you get to pick a player at a spot they definitely shouldn't belong. That they definitely, like, if you were to eliminate the goalies from the draft, that player would have gone way sooner. And that's where you start to balance out as a captain. Like, if I take a goalie now, maybe other people will start taking goalies and keep pushing some of those players down for me. One of the examples that jump out at me is like Keller on Fos or Lasagna with Sweeting at the end of round 3. Those 2 guys are mid to late 2nd round picks at worst. Another one that jumps out as me is Kyle getting Tom at the end of the 2nd round. And Tom has always been a 1st round pick. He's always been a 1st round pick. The only time he's really not a 1st round pick is when somebody gets him in the loop into the 2nd round. So he's kind of still a 1st round pick anyways. So, so that was wild to me. And you see those players get pushed down, and sometimes that's part of the strategy. Maybe that's something that you're hoping for as a captain is, can I trigger that goalie run, or am I in early on that goalie run enough to have some of those players get pushed down? I love, not to kind of bark up or talk up our team a little bit, but I love getting Jesse Trito in round 3 to play with. I've only played with him in the Winter Classic, so the ball's a little bit different. But I've always loved like his hands, his playmaking, and just his like hockey kind of mindset that's out there. It's going to be really exciting to play with that. But I'm also looking at, players that get pushed down to Dan Thiesing getting Furlano and Petrie and Shelton. Like, come on. That's a core 3 guys at the top of your draft to build around. And then you still get Dave King in the 4th. Bonkers.
Dave King in the 4th is another one. He's always been like a 2nd or so it's the goalie run, like you said, as far as like a Dave King going that late and so forth. So yeah.
So just as a real quick wrap up for the draft discussion, Bob, you already kind of gave us your thoughts on it, but Maston, if you had to pick a potential finals matchup, if you feel like throwing that out there.
Yeah,
Bob, you really put yourself out there and went for it, and I like that. So if you feel gutsy, Maston, who's your finals matchup right now? If you had to look at
right now, I would have to say Fose's team, and I really like the team I was drafted on too. But I want to be fair. But so 2.0, the team that you're on, I thought was really good on paper as well. With John Horan, yourself, obviously. And then I can't remember didn't you have Newberry as well? So some really good players on your team as well.
So it's me, Brett, Jesse.
And you got Brett. Yeah, you got Brett.
I'm so excited to play with Brett, by the way. We've always joked about how we go at each other when we're in net and having those duels, but now I get to block shots for him and all that.
Have you and Brett ever been on the same team?
No.
Okay.
So pretty excited for that.
Yeah, that is cool. I
get to play with my son.
It's funny exactly. And it's funny, like with him being drafted where he was, like he's never approached the 4th round since that time, has he?
I know. Yep. We always joke that he's a 4th rounder, and he's maybe drafted in the 4th round once.
Yeah, the heck I am. Yeah, I'm definitely not a 4th.
But you got me, Brett, Jesse, then John Huron, Bob Haynes, John Blotzer, and Ellen.
Yep. It's like I said, I would pick you guys as, if I can't pick our own team, I would definitely want to say that you guys have a good team in front of you.
I think it's a little bit of a wild card with the 2 rookies. We haven't talked about the blockbusters at all.
Oh, I know.
Yep. And with Kaz and net, Jake, Schmally, Newberry, John, the captain, and then again, Westgate, Matt in the 7th. If these 2 rookies are halfway decent, you've got no liabilities on the team. You've got no bad shifts.
I got a little bit of insider info for Matt Rockefeller. So he's a good friend. His daughter and my daughter they grew up together, like literally went to the same infant room at daycare and we're together for a while. Different school districts now, but still stay in touch and get together when we can. And I do know that he's played before. In fact, he's played in a league in Irondequoit before with Bob Haynes. So
okay.
He has some experience. He hasn't played in a while. He was texting me about what kind of gear is best for this league and what kind of things to expect. But I think he's going to be one of those rookies that maybe takes just 1 or 2 games at most, if that, to get his legs under him and feel it out. And I think he's going to definitely be well above that 5th round grade. You know what? I'll make a bold prediction. You could be looking at the 2nd year in a row where a rookie wins outplay their draft spot. Which would be pretty crazy, I think. But yeah. I think Matt could do it. So,
was he the same one that knew Brandon? Was that Matt, or was there a different kid who? I know there was another one that Brandon knew that also played goalie as well. So.
Brandon knows either. I think it was like Adam or AJ, one of the 2.
Okay.
I know it wasn't Al, but it was one of the other A rookies. So
gotcha.
But hey, real quick before we move on, I guess if I had to pick, you read my mind, Bob, because right before I was about to say what my finals pick was going to be, and then you said we haven't even talked about the blockbusters yet. I don't like to pick myself either. I do like to, when we pick our weekly matchups, I'll always root for my own team, obviously. But when I look at that draft and I look at all these teams, the matchup that I could see happening would be a blockbusters versus dump and chase pickin'. I'm tempted to also say, instead of maybe dump and chase pickin', even blockbusters and goals are us. And that's if we also get a Paul Fridman out playing his draft spot in net, which I think he could. So it's tough to pick because there's so many good teams on paper in that parity from the draft this season that I think everybody was hoping to see again. So, but some good teams, good drafts. Any last thoughts on the draft? Any last thoughts on the teams before we move on?
No, not right now.
All right.
But we will.
I'm going to move right into the week 1 matchups and we get to start previewing some games. And boy, if it's not the draft that gets me pumped. By the way, like the couple days leading up to the draft were like the longest couple of days of work I've had because the draft is so much fun. I look so forward to the draft. I mock like 100 different drafts. I mock 610 drafts, and I love the I love the draft, but I love talking about that week 1 matchup because it feels real. We're a day and a half, 2 days away from puck drop for the new season. So it's exciting. And we got some great matchups based on those rosters on paper. We got some great matchups in week 1. So at 6:30, we've got Dump and Chase Pitkin going up against the Michael Scott Hockey Company. At 7:30, we've got Pontiac Firebirds against the Pan Amherst. So Bob versus Rob, the Bob versus Rob here. At 8:30, we've got John Huron's Bugaboo Creek Freaks, my team going up against the Napster Marauders. Not looking forward to going up against my guy, Steve Leduc, drafted first for my team last year. Not looking forward to having to play him again, but against me, but it'll be a fun matchup. And then at 9:30, we've got Goals Are Us against the Blockbusters. So some great matchups right out of the gate. I don't know. What matchups are you looking forward to most? Which ones are you thinking are going to be the games of the? Go ahead and pick a game of the night. Go ahead and pick the matchups that you love. We'll do some predictions toward the end here, but talk about these matchups a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What was the 9:30 matchup again? You said that was
Goals Are Us and the Blockbusters.
Yeah, that's my game of the week. Game of the week's got to be Goals Are Us versus Blockbusters. I think Anders, like I said, picked a fantastic squad there, and I'm really excited to see some of the rookie talent on the Blockbusters. You know, I want to see the chemistry on the Blockbusters. You know, John had just obviously a great team last season on your team there too. A lot of great passing, a lot of great movement. I think, you know, again, without knowing the rookies, there's a lot of hockey IQ there between Jake and Newberry and John and Westgate Matt. They can't recreate what you had last season, but if they can get close to that, you know, they can be a really formidable team. Meanwhile, you know, I said before, Goals Are Us is one of my championship matchup teams. I want to see how Paul does in net. I want to see, you know, how their rookie Al does. And that Brad Fake, I don't want to overstate it, but I think Brad Frankie 1-2 is going to be the best 1-2. I think they're going to be the best 1-2 in the league this season.
Yeah, a lot of speed right there.
Maston, what matchups stand out to you?
Yeah, I definitely picked up on you against Leduc. It'll be interesting to see how Kyle talks to Brandon. You know, he went against the goalie academy last year, controversial. And Brandon was like, wait a second, just because I didn't play goalie last year doesn't mean I'm not part of the goalie academy. So I think that was kind of Kyle's strategy is I think I pissed off the goalie academy. I can't really pick anybody since I did that. So I'm going to pick my buddy Brandon. So yeah, it'll be a really good game. You got Leduc out there, but you also got Sador and Friedman, Glenn. Yeah. He came in the fifth round this year. So I mean, I think he's where he should be, and he might even move himself up the way he's been playing. And Matt Sidor is just the tenacity on that team. And then you guys match up really well with him. I think it's going to be a good overall game. And, you know, good game for Brett to kind of get his, you know, used to the team with you guys in front of him. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing for Brett because I when I'm on the floor, it might not seem like it, but my first and foremost like joy when I play on the floor is leaving it out there for my goalie. And I think a lot of that comes from being a goalie for so long in the league. And really, when you have a team in front of you that does that, and is willing to like put it out there for you, you feed off of that. You really get out there. Like I felt it last season with all those rookies and everybody we had on our team.
Yep.
I was really out. I know I think I've said this a couple times, but I was really nervous about going back into net. Just because the last couple seasons I played in net before finally getting out onto the floor didn't go so great for me. I had some kind of weird injuries that were nagging and didn't quite feel great. There was one game at the Y where I was playing net with like 6 different icy hot patches in different spots on my back because it was so thrown out. I remember showing it to Kurt after the game. He's like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "I didn't want to tell you guys because I didn't want you to like feel that weight and pressure on you, but like I was not in a good place for that."
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to like being able to play out and play hard for Brett the way those guys played out and hard for me last season when I was in that. I will tell you that the Masturbators, we've all joked about how as soon as the last undefeated team loses, we're going to be sending our pictures of a toast like those Dolphins do every year. And now we got
you earned it
tradition going. So, but as for this season and the matchups that we've got, I am looking very forward to your matchup. That 7:30 game is, I think, going to be really fun because not only do you have like the speed of the Pan Americs, but on the Firebirds, I see a lot of players who just play really hard for their goalie. And Matt, I made a joke with Matt. I texted him a couple times throughout the season last season, but I think I mentioned something to him or someone else just a week or two ago. He was the goalie of the year last year if I didn't somehow pull a magic age 25 season out of my ass like I did. And and he is a star in net. Yeah. So when you pair him with guys like Reddit and Bill and Brian and the Bob here and K-Flow, all of those guys leave it out there for their goalie. He's gonna feed off of that, and it's gonna make the Firebirds a really sneaky good matchup team. You guys are like a matchup team. You're going to be good to adapt against your competition, and that's tough to beat. So that 7:30 game is very exciting to me. I have a hard time disagreeing with you, the Bob, about the 9:30 game RFHL After Dark being the game of the week. I think that's going to be the kind of game that you wish you stuck around and watched, and for a week 1 matchup, it could even be an overtime type of game. So great matchups all around week 1. As a reminder for everybody, all of the games are streamed live on YouTube with commentary and play-by-play. So make sure you check out the RFHL's YouTube page. Definitely subscribe and get that bell on so that you get notified when games start, when podcasts drop. I'm looking at you. Is it Matt or Shane Reisinger in the chat that's always, we were picking on him about never knowing when the podcasts drop. So, hey, don't ask questions anymore. Just subscribe and get that bell on. But for anybody else, when you watch this, hey, leave a comment on YouTube. What's your matchup of the night? What's your game of the week? What's your take on the potential finals? Like if you had to predict a finals matchup, leave it in the comments. All of that stuff helps get the page out there even more. So make sure you're doing that too. But yeah, great matchups week 1.
Yeah, we haven't talked about one though. We haven't talked about the 8:30 game, have we?
I mean, no, not really. I don't think we've done any predictions or anything, but I wasn't really looking into talking about my matchup.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to playing Leduc. Got to play against him, I think, twice in the Winter Classic.
Yeah.
Tom's always a tough matchup. You were right, Rob.
Sniper.
Idor and Glenn are just hustlers. And they're just grinders and they're just tenacious players. So I think you might see a high scoring game in that one. I hope not for Brett's sake, but there's a lot of firepower on that Napster team. There's a lot of goal scorers.
Definitely.
Shall we do some week one predictions then? Might as well. I think we're kind of
Absolutely.
talked about all the matchups here. So I guess going on record, I talked about this before we started recording this week's episode with Rob and the Bob. I think we were talking about this before we clicked record. I think it would be fun for us podcast hosts to, even if we're not here, so I'm talking to you, the mayor, make sure you submit your week one predictions. We're going to keep the hosts, the four of us, the tally for our records on the season when it comes to predicting matchups. We're going to keep that running. Maybe at the end of the season, we'll see which of the four of us have the best record in terms of predicting matchups. Maybe when I lose, I'll buy the winner a beer or something. I don't know. So, so
we'll all get them a beer.
Yeah. There you go. So week one, 6:30, Dump and Chase Pickin. Who you got, the Bob? Oh, Dump and Chase Pickin against Michael Scott Hockey Company. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about because we hadn't talked about that game at all, really. I don't know that. I know I was just singing the praises of Dump and Chase Pickin, but
yeah,
Michael Scott at that. Look at that.
Michael Scott is. Yeah, they're low key loaded themselves. I can't believe we even talked. Yeah, they got a good team. I
love John Chatterton on that team too.
As a fifth rounder, how it used to be like
just an anchoring presence for that team with the other guys who are all very like run and gun.
I mean, Jake and Sean are both second, arguably first round picks, right? I mean, they're loaded and too.
Dave King had like 4 or 5 goals in one game last season.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's always good to pop off for a game or two.
Yep. And then he talks so much trash when he does. I mean, Dave cannot stop talking trash.
Yeah.
I think I made a joke once.
I don't know the rookies on Fose's team. With that being said, I'd look real foolish picking against my championship team in week one. So I'm gonna pace. I'm gonna pick the hardware store of old times.
Rob, who you got? Michael Scott or Dump and Chase?
Yeah, this is gonna be a really fantastic game. But yeah, Fose's team is just so loaded, and it's gonna be really. I know Shane Ryan and Andrew Keller know each other because their daughters play lacrosse together. So they've already known each other for a while. It's going to be very interesting to see how their styles mix up. But Shane is just like a two-way player. Keller's your defensive guy, Fose, and you got Prizzy. I mean, that starting lineup right there is crazy. And then they got the subs with Justin, Mike, and Dave. They'll be a really good team. I think they'll start off really quick this season. Now I got them as my pick.
All right. I'm going to go against the grain. I got Michael Scott in this one. I know I predicted a finals potential team out of Dump and Chase Pickin, but I do see the potential for Michael Scott to be one of those teams where they kind of mesh well right out of the gate, and that bodes well for them. So for this one, I'm going to go Michael Scott. I'm going to go against the grain here and pick Michael Scott to win week one at that 6:30 time slot.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
No, I could see that though in terms of meshing quickly because like every player on that team has a style that can just plug and play.
Mm-hmm.
Like every single player on that team that I'm looking at, none of them need like a player like X. Like I need, a passer. I need a shooter. I need somebody that can get rebounds or, I need a defenseman behind me. They all can do it all. That's why I was having a hard time with this one in week one.
I think Sean Petrie might sneakily be the most like overlooked hockey IQ player in the league.
Yeah.
I think
too.
This is what is his. I think it's either his third or fourth season now. But I think even that first season, I was like, oh, he plays like he knows the game. And then the second time around, I think his second season obviously went quite a bit better. He won the cup first season with Le Tremblement.
Yeah.
And then I think his second season, you started to see more of that come out. I think he's, like I said, I think he's the most overlooked hockey-minded player in the league, hockey IQ guy in the league. So I think you make a good point about all of those players being really good plug and play, do what's needed at the time, at the moment kind of style guys. So, yeah.
And Jake Shelton, I can't believe I forgot to mention him going in the third round. He was a steal for us in the second round last year. He's just such a good hockey player. Like, he just made so many good plays for us. I can't believe he went in the third round. And if he's their third option, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a better game than people think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say the quiet part out loud. A lot of it's going to rest on Kenton's shoulders.
Yep.
You know, if Kenton's a good goalie, like he was the last goalie picked, which says a lot about how good our goalies are. That he's the 8th one picked, because he could have great games. He could be a little streaky. He can have some good ones and some not so good ones, but he's not a bad goalie. And so if he has a decent game, an average game, an above average game, they're going to win more than they lose.
Yeah, that's a good point. The last thing I'll say about that too is that he's not that far removed from his Firebird or his Firestorms hockey team season, where I think he finished second or third in goalie of the year voting. So
yeah,
you're right. He Kenton's one of those goalies. He can get on a heater, and once he settles in or feels comfortable with the team in front of him, or knows that the team in front of him, a lot of it comes to trust. I think with Firestorms, he had trust in us. So when he discovers that trust that I can definitely see on paper Michael Scott providing him, I think you'll see him have another great season. So,
yeah.
So at 7:30, we've got Pontiac Firebirds, Pan Amherst. I think I know how you guys are both picking here. So
yeah, I'm picking my own team.
I'm
picking my own team. I'm not starting off the year picking against my own team. But I know they've got some great players over there. Got Reddit coming back. You know, he's the new father, or at least I know he was out for the season because of family planning. So congratulations to him. And Matt McCarchuk, you know, I played with him in the Winter Classic, and he's just so underrated. And the fact that I think he told me he had never played goalie before RFHL, or at least like not in a league, and that just amazes me. You know, it's just like he's such a natural, and just so yeah, it'll be a good game. It'll be a good game.
I agree. Bob, what do you got? What do you I know who you're picking, but what do you got to say about it?
I'm not looking forward to this matchup. I'll tell you that much. You know, like, not for my team, but for me personally. I was talking in our team chat about how I would rather guard a guy like Leduc, who is amazing, than a guy like Lasagna, who's going to just outrun me.
That's true.
And that was before I looked at my matchups, and then I was like, son of a bee sting, you know, I've got Lasagna, and not only Lasagna,
George,
but Sweeting, and everybody with those endless motors. Week one. And I think my team is well matched up for that. I think between, you know, Reddit and D'Angelo and Bill Smith and everyone else, except for me, they can all keep up with you all. I just am not looking forward to it for my old fat, out of shape rear end to try to
you're
keep
blocking the shots, my friend. So
only if I can catch up to you first. So yeah, I'm definitely picking us, but I'm not looking forward to the cardio.
I'm having a hard time picking this one myself, and a lot of that comes down to something I just talked about in the last game in that 6:30 matchup, where when Matt feels the trust of the players in front of him and those guys play hard for him, he's going to be hard to beat, even with players like Sweetmeat, Lasagna, Kuhn, Kurt, Maston, Brendan. I mean, George, I look at your whole team, and again, it's another team where you guys have very balanced scoring. No one has to be a hero.
Right.
Which is nice. I think it's nice when you get a team where you don't have to have a hero scorer, and you definitely don't need that. I actually, as a quick side note, I was singing Kurt's praises last season on the Masturbators for really embracing the I don't care if I end up on the stat sheet mindset. He played a role, and he played it awesome, and he made some plays throughout the season that I saw the most like hockey growth I've ever seen out of Kurt last season. And he was making smart plays, even just off puck positioning. I told him every week, I was like, Kurt, holy crap, man, you are playing the best hockey I've ever seen you play. If you guys get that out of Kurt again as a 6-rounder, you guys are going to be tough because he played great defense. He didn't play with panic. He moved well. He supported well. He didn't end up on the stat sheet as much as I think he wished he did. Which should also scare people because he can light it up. He can clap bomb one from deep and put home 2 or 3 a game. I have a hard time picking against Pan Americs in this one just because of the depth of scoring that you guys have. But in the defense of the Firebirds, if Matt gets on that heater because he sees you guys playing hard in front of him, it doesn't matter how much scoring you have. He can be one of the most frustrating goalies in the league. So week 1, I'm going to pick Pan Americs, but I think this is a really tight matchup.
Yeah, agreed.
So 8:30, we've got my Bugaboo Creek Freaks. Well, Haran's Bugaboo Creek Freaks, but mine since I'm talking here. And we're going up against the Napster Marauders. I think you guys know how I'm going to pick. I never pick against my own team. I also feel strong about our team. I appreciate the stuff you guys were saying about it. But what do you guys have for the 8:30 matchup prediction?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with your team. Like I said, they're one of my championship game predictions right here. If Brett plays as he's capable of, with you leading the offense and Haran and Bob Haynes, hockey smart. Hey, we haven't talked about John Blotzer. John, saying I'm not going in the 7th round. He's been playing really well, and he's just a plug and play kind of guy, and he scores those goals right out front. So I really feel like you guys have a good team. Don't know too much about AJ O'Connor, but the rest of the Napster Marauders are a really good team. Just going to come down to you got their team supporting Brandon defensively and making some smart plays in front of him. And but I really do feel like you guys will come out on top. I'm picking the Bugaboo Creek.
I think I am too. I hate to have all 3 of us pick the same team here, but
first sweep of the night,
first sweep, 8:30.
Well, don't change it now. Keep going.
Kyle's like, I hope Steve LeDuc's watching this. Is what Kyle's saying.
Yeah, he will. He was. Steve LeDuc might have been the rookie who drank the most of the Kool-Aid last season. He was after week 1. He was like, "Oh my God, I did not expect it to be this in depth." He was like stats and podcasts. He was into it. He was so into it, and I love it. I love seeing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I could just take it and go home and sleep well tonight, or I could piss some people off. I think their top end is stronger than your top end. No offense to, but I think your team is better balanced, and the goaltending is definitely stronger on the Bugaboo Creek Freaks. I think for a week 1, when everyone's trying to get their chemistry together, when everyone's trying to get knock off any of the rust if they didn't play in the Winter Classic, I'm going to take the bottom end of the team above the top end. So I'm going to take what I mean by that is I think the Bugaboo Creek Freaks aren't going to have any bad lines out there, where I could see the Napster Marauders maybe having a little bit of chemistry issues to start, which not when LeDuc's on the floor, because I know he can find anyone and he has probably the best vision in the league. But when he's on the bench, I don't know. I think this is going to be a very close game, but I do give the Freaks the advantage.
The Freaks. I like it. By the way, I had to wear green. It's my only green shirt, going back to Dino Barbecue, but it's my only green RFHL shirt. So I'm looking forward to another one this season. So 9:30, goals are us, the Blockbusters. I think 2 of us said this was our game of the week. Rob, did you ever pick a game of the week? Did you mention what you thought was the game of the game of the week?
I think it was your game. Yeah,
Okay.
that was the game I picked. Yep.
So two of us thought this was the game of the week. RFHL After Dark, 9:30. We've got Goals Are Us against the Blockbusters. How about we start with you, the Bob?
Goals Are Us. I think this is the game of the week, like I said. And I think they could run away with it. I think I'm not saying they necessarily will, but I'm saying it could be a wide margin game if Brad and Frankie and Al together are as dangerous, and Shane and Rob and Cody. Like what the hell? There are no liabilities on this team. You got Cody in the 7th. You've got Rob in the 5th, which I know was his automatic pick, but like so funny story. I was on the team with the mayor last season, and my son fell in love with him. Every time he thought the mayor was our first round pick, and
that's great.
He keeps asking how well Rob's doing, and he would always ask about Rob's stats every game. And then this season, he asked if I was playing on Rob's team, and I'm not. And he was very disappointed.
Oh, we got a little mayor fan club. We need a little mayor fan club going.
But other than just like a 9-year-old fanboy, he's onto something, right? Like the mayor is underrated. Like he has some filthy goals. He's got great hands. And on a team with Brad and Frankie, and I'm, I have to assume Al was drafted in the right spot. And the 4-time back-to-back champion, like I think they're going to go on a run, and I think they're going to dominate.
I said it on the draft show. I'll say it again. Shane Reisinger, and he did it again for the Winter Classic, by the way. They won the Winter Classic. Shane Reisinger has not lost an RFHL playoff game in 2.5 calendar years. Not seasons, calendar years. He has not lost a playoff game since like 2023. It's unheard of. First of all, the unicorn was always what everyone's chasing. Now we got the alicorn because he's got 4 in a row. That's crazy. And everyone was yelling at me for drafting him last season. They're like, oh, the law of averages, you just boned yourself here by drafting him. Sooner or later that's going to come true, but looking at this roster, I don't know. I think he's still got another chance. Maston, I'll let you have the last word, so I'll give you my quick prediction here. I'm going to pick the Blockbusters in this one. The Bob, I do want to make sure that you get your fair share of hate because I know you love rattling people up. You picked that real fast. I was like, 9:30 game, Goals Are Us, Blockbusters. How about the Bob? What do you got? And you're like, Goals Are Us. Not even gonna hesitate. He threw it out there so fast that I expect the Discord chat to get on your case about that tomorrow. And if they don't, everyone's asleep at the wheel.
And I welcome it.
I know you do, and I love it. I do.
I think the Blockbusters have a very high ceiling. I think they can be a great team. I don't think week 1 is their week. I think, Jake Schmali's only played 1 full season before. You've got Newberry and John who are veterans, but, they need players around them to fit in with. And then you got 2 more rookies.
Yeah.
It's a team that's going to need some time to gel. I think when they gel, they could be fantastic. I just don't see it in week 1.
So I am picking the Blockbusters week 1. There's 2 X factors to this in play for me. The first one is we have Kazmark, who is a perennial contender for goalie of the year, going up against Paul Fridman, who I think will, if you want another hot take, I think Paul might finish in the 4 or 5 spot in terms of goalie stats this season. I think he will play very well, but I also know it is week 1. Jake Schmali has been on a tear when he's been playing. Newberry and Gilsonen just play with just endless tenacity. Yeah. I think Matt Rockefeller is going to play way above that 5th round pick. And even if for some reason Adam Dalton has a growing, pains for the first couple of weeks, you could easily put him in as their 7th pick and justify Matt Haruski being underdrafted in the 6th round. So I think you could be looking at the Blockbusters being the team that gives Paul Fridman a welcome to the goalie union party. And I think if you ask me about this matchup in week, 8, when they match up again, I might be picking differently. But for week 1, I'm going to go with the Blockbusters.
Yeah, this is like NFL week 1 where you just have these preconceived notions of how everyone's going to play, and there's some upsets and so forth, and a lot of factors where you don't know what's going to happen. And this game right here is, in terms of question marks, we haven't seen Paul play goalie, like you said, against the puck. He's a heck of a player on the floor. So I really do think Rob's team is going to take it, but it's not going to be. I think it's going to be a really close game with Gilsonen and Newberry's hustle and Jake Schmal as the number 1. They got a good team, but there's a lot of unknowns with Matt, with the 2 rookies, and then Westgate Matt didn't play in the Winter Classic, so he'll have some adjustments to do. So I think they'll have a lot of adjustments, this Blockbusters team, but I still think that they'll have a good run this year. Like you guys mentioned in the beginning of this, this is no last season. There's a lot of parity in this league this year. I don't think we're going to have any 10-0 teams this year. I mean, I really feel like this is kind of going to be one of the more even seasons.
If we think this is going to be more parity season, what do you think the record is for the worst team in the league? Do you want to call out who the worst team is?
Oh, that's a good question.
What's the record?
I don't know. I'd say maybe 2. I would say 3 wins. Would be.
I'm going to 4. I'm going all the way to 4 wins for the worst team.
Yeah. I was going to say 4 was, I think, the number I'm going to land on also. And that's a really good question and a great point. If you're getting 4 wins, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. A lot of it comes down to who shows up too, because we have how many games do we do that we're talking about? Oh, this will be a factor, that'll be a factor, and then they don't even show up. So it's like all that goes right out the door. Like if somebody doesn't show up, it's a huge thing, and you're down a sub. You're down if you have a sub play, that becomes a factor. So if everybody shows up, that's how we do this show, and it's going to be a big factor.
Yeah, that's a great point also. And a great question, Bob. Thanks. That was a good one. I know that just for the sake of making it easy to find and easy to make clear for everybody, I'm just going to run down. If you can remember all 4 of your picks, each of us just name your winners again real fast. So I'm going Michael Scott Hockey Company, Pan Amerks, Bugaboo Creek Freaks, and the Blockbusters. Rob Maston, what are your 4?
All right. So the first game we had, was that Fose's game or was that?
Yeah, I think you had gone Pickin in that one.
Yep, I got Chase Pickin, and I picked my team, and then I picked. Your team was the third. Sweet 2.0. Your team was the third one.
Yep. Yeah.
And then the fourth I took. I took Rob Anders' Goals R Us team. So
yours is easy. You took all the away teams this week. So Pickin, Firebirds, Freaks, and Goals R Us.
Yep.
And Bob, what were your 4?
Chase Pickin, Firebirds, the Freaks, and very quickly you pointed out was Goals R Us.
Oh, Rob, sorry. I said you picked the Firebirds, but you picked your own team, Pan Amerks.
Yeah.
That's my fault. So no not all the away teams, but.
Yeah, no, I'm going Road Warriors.
So, all right. Well, I think that just about does it for this week 1 preview and season preview. The only thing I guess I'll ask is any last comments, any last words, any last thoughts? Rob Maston.
Me and Matt Whitmire set a record last year for the quickest podcast. I wanted to wish him well in his recovery from his injuries and hope he's back next year. If not the fall, then definitely this time next year. And anybody else who's out there who's looking to get back in after an injury or family planning or what have it, look forward to having you guys back next year as well. But I'm really looking forward to all the guys that we have in this season, and it's going to be a great season.
The Bob, Welcome to the podcast rotation. Get ready to host your week when it happens. Get ready to scramble for people to guest with you because they're either saying I've done it too much or I'm going to do it, and then they'll tell you last minute they can't. Welcome to that club as well, but welcome to the rotation. And last thoughts for this podcast.
Honored and happy to be part of the rotation. I would say I am so excited to be on the team I'm on this season. I think this is my third season playing with Matt and Nat. I love playing with him and Nat. As much crap as I give D'Angelo, who's one of my closest friends, love playing with him. So I'm very excited. Tip your bartender and try the veal.
Love it. Love it. You said something very similar to something that I was going to say as part of my closing remarks too. I'm very excited for the team I'm playing on. I'm playing with 3 different players I've always said I wanted to play with in an RFHL season and hadn't been able to do so yet. And now I get to play with all 3 of them at the same time, Haran, Jesse, and Brett. So very excited. And of course I'm excited to play with everybody else too, but I'm very humbled and honored that John Haran made me a first-round pick for the first time in my RFHL career. So I'm excited and also feeling a little bit of the pressure to deliver now. So, but all is said and done. At the end of the day, I think everybody's looking forward to the season. I think it's going to be a great one. I think we're going to see some really tough matchups pretty much every week. Just as a quick cleanup, wrap up, housekeeping kind of thing for everybody. Just some kind of general unwritten league rules, if you will. If you're playing in that 9:30 game, just help clean up real quick. It helps everybody get home a little bit quicker. Many hands make light work. Grab a table, grab a net, grab something and just help put it away. It just, like I said, makes things go a lot quicker, gets everybody home after that late game a lot sooner. Don't be afraid to sign up to ref or stats or broadcast or be a podcast guest, whatever.
Yeah.
Every single part of this league is voluntary. Every single part of this league that we love and the reasons that we love it are all because of the great work that volunteers do. So make sure and don't be afraid to do it because there's always going to be somebody who's willing to help show you the ropes or help get you connected. Last year, we had several people new to the broadcast, several people new to reffing. All of them, I think, came away from the season saying that they enjoyed it and that maybe they didn't have to be as nervous about it as they thought. I know that there's tons of people who are helpful and want to be helpful about that. And speaking of your refs and stats, please, a reminder to treat them kindly, control your emotions. All of the conversations, I know Commissioner Sweetmeat will talk about this during week 1 during the previews of each game. All of the conversations between refs and teams have to flow through your captain. Your captain must be the one who does the conversations with the refs. Everybody's going to get upset about something sooner or later, but just remember that those refs are out there volunteering and doing what they can to help out. So be kind, wash your behind, whatever. Be kind of
look for refs. Rob Anders. Where's Rob Anders?
Yeah.
Let's put out on APV. Where's Rob Anders?
I know you thought he was supposed to be here. And then I think the only other thing I wanted to mention, you should have gotten an email. I think team pictures are going to be week 3 this season. If you're not aware of what that is, especially for you rookies, buckle up. You're going to have a great time with that. But team pictures week 3. And I think that's it for all of the housekeeping stuff. So the Bob, how about you do the traditional sign off since this is your first hosting week, time in the podcast as the host cycle now. Send us out of here.
Is it Wednesday yet?